Hey everyone, it's Jody here, your Wednesday host for FTRealM, and I hope everyone's having a good week. I'm having a good week. As you can see, I'm all spiffy today. The reason being is that it's been rainy, and this morning it was kind of dreary and foggy, and so I needed to pick me up, because when it starts getting rainy outside and cold, I just want to curl up on my couch and watch movies and drink cocoa and do absolutely nothing. So I needed to motivate myself, so I wore some bright-ass colors today for my students' enjoyment, for my own enjoyment, and now for your enjoyment. So I'm going to jump into this week's topic, which is how we feel about passing or how we deal with passing and how it has affected us. So I'm probably going to say passing quite a bit. That's just typically how I talk to people that are first becoming familiar with the trans community. And I know there's a huge debate going on between passing and blending. Spencer did a really good job about talking about blending, so check out his video. I use the term passing very loosely because I don't feel that there is a criteria or a checklist that somebody has to make in order to be able to identify as how they identify. And so I'm going to say probably this term, or I'm going to say being recognized as male. I try to use that language a little bit more because I think with the terms passing and blending, that there's a difference, but there's also some similarities in my opinion. So I am going to probably say passing quite a bit, or being recognized as male. I'm going to try and say recognized as male as the majority of the time. So here we go. So what has changed for me since I have been 100% of the time being recognized as male, as certain things that are expected of me, being recognized as a young man, being a young man in college, and people tell me all the time that I should not be going into a social science, I should be looking into a hard science, and my general thing is I'm not interested in those things, otherwise I would be doing them. And so that's kind of a hard adjustment, a hard pill to swallow sometimes when people tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing with my life based on being perceived as male, being recognized as male, and I want to be recognized as male. But or even doing a hard labor job. It gets really kind of crazy being on college campus and talking to individuals in public spaces about what I want to do with my career choices. Another thing is the expectations that what young men do, especially in regard to the older elderly community, which is doing as much as you possibly can for them. And I'm a really progressive individual, so I'm typically all about equality, and if you can do it yourself, you do it yourself regardless of your age, regardless of your gender identity in any way, shape, or form. But when I was working at the co-op over the summer, a lot of the elderly couples that would come in would just ask for my help to do everything. Like, they'd be like, oh, hey, can you get this for me? Oh, and they would ask me random questions, and then they're like, oh, okay, that's good, I'll get that, and then would start walking off, which was an indicator that I was supposed to grab that item and just kind of follow them around. And that was really interesting. It didn't happen a whole lot if the spouse was there. But some elderly ladies do that, and there's some cultural things, so it's not just the older elderly generation that would do it. It's some other ethnicities would do the exact same thing to me, where I would follow both of them around or just one of them around, and based on their culture, you do these certain things, and so that was the expectation. But overall, being recognized as male has been amazing in my life. I appreciate it every day that I am able to just do my everyday activities and not be hassled about it. I still kind of freak myself out sometimes, but I mean, overall, being recognized as male has boosted my confidence 100%. People are always telling me about how much confidence I've built up from pre-T to post-T. I feel more comfortable, and I'm able to say things or get in confrontations that I necessarily would not have been able to get into beforehand, regardless if I had wanted to, or I'm able to kind of push that boundary even more because I'm more confident to do so. Even if I would have pushed the envelope a little bit, I can go like that extra mile now that I wouldn't have been able to before. But overall, everything's been positive. No negatives really, except for the one negative, I guess, would be is if you're talking to a girl and the boyfriends or the partners, however they identify, get really upset when you're talking to their woman, and so I've learned to kind of keep this distance, create this distance when talking to females, and like they have a male counterpart with them. So that's been a negative adjustment because I'm like really just a people person. So I'm like, I'm up in your grill if I know you kind of person. And so I'm like hugging on you. And in some spaces I've learned that that's just not okay, especially when there can be a male counterpart and thinking that I'm trying to take his woman. So that's about it. I'm going to cut this short. I wanted it a little bit shorter, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So I will check you guys out next week. Peace.